My name is Jake. I'm back again with another request from my buddy Jack from the Autumn Dogs, who wanted me to review The Who's seminal third studio album, The Who Sell Out. For those of you that might be unfamiliar with The Who, they are one of the most legendary rock groups formed in London, England in 1964, originally under the High Numbers, and it consisted of probably one of the most legendary, perfect lineups for any band ever. You had Roger Daltrey on lead vocals, Pete Townshend on guitar, John Entwistle on bass, and Keith Moon on drums. How could it not be perfect? This album was released December 15th, 1967, and it's probably, in my opinion, The Who's first great album. They had some good stuff before, and many great albums after, but this is the first album, their real turning point to which they really sort of came into their own as a band. This was also The Who's first concept album, something that they would be very much known for in the future, and this one is sort of supposed to make you feel like you're listening to a pirate radio station, which played a lot of music that was very influential around the mod scene at the time. There's even fake commercials sort of spliced in between the songs, and it's very interesting considering that The Who were actually recording commercial jingles around this time for Radio London, I believe. This is a very interesting album because not only is it kind of a satirical take on pop culture and whatnot, but it is also paying tribute to the pirate radio that the members were sort of raised on, basically. You know, it's nice to know that they can kind of praise something and make fun of it at the same time. It is very much Townshend, and I love it. This album was originally, I believe, going to be called Who's Lily, after the song Pictures of Lily, which I believe was supposed to be on this album. It was released the same year, and kind of a stupid title, but I really would have liked to hear Pictures of Lily on this album. It'd be interesting to see how that would have sort of worked out. I'm not sure where I would have placed it exactly, but I'm sure they could have made it work. Also, speaking of songs not on this album, if you really like this album, which I'm sure you will, I highly suggest listening to, a lot of the songs on the, the deluxe edition, the songs that didn't make it on the album, Melancholia, Someone's Coming, Early Morning Cold Taxi. All great songs. All absolutely could have been on this, It's not like where they're a bunch of just throwaways, they're actually, it's quality material. And if that isn't enough, I'm sure most of you have heard by now probably, The Who announced a new box set of this album, including 46 unreleased songs. And only, I believe, a few of them are demos, 46 new unheard songs. That is, I believe, unprecedented. If you've heard of, any other band or artist that have done that with just purely unreleased, unheard material, not just, I've seen people do it with demos and live performances and whatnot, with just new unreleased songs. If you've heard of anyone else that's done that, please let me know. Trust me, I would love to indulge myself. Now, onto the songs. Track 1, Armenia City in the Sky. This is a perfect start to the album, sets the tone perfectly. Roger Daltrey's voice has hardly ever sounded so pure on a track. This is also one of the few, if not the only, Who song not written by any member of the band. This was written by Speedy Keen, who is the vocalist for Thunderclap Newman, who did the song Something in the Air, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard before. This song did something that The Who perfected on the album, which is basically psychedelic power pop, and very heavy on the psychedelic. The lyrics have even been described as sort of a euphemism for an acid trip. Which is interesting because I know The Who, and Pete Townshend especially, were not big fans of psychedelics at all. I mean, Roger Daltrey even had his water spiked with acid at Woodstock, and it was not a pleasant time. But, it was the 60s. It's inevitable that topic was going to come up in a song eventually. Track 2, Heinz Baked Beans. This is literally just a fake ad for, you guessed it, it's pretty much some people saying, "What's for tea? What's for tea? What's for tea?" And then, "Heinz Baked Beans." You know, that's a simple enough dinner. You know, it fills you up just the right amount. It's convenient, it's nice, it's easy. What's not to love? As long as you have a working toilet on deck, you should be fine with Heinz Baked Beans. And honestly, if you're gonna get pneumonia from sitting in a tub of frozen beans, there's no better reason to advertise it. Track 3, Marianne with the Shaky Hand. I adore the harmonies on this one. This is the album where The Who definitely played with harmonies the most, and they were up there with the best of them. There is an electric version and an acoustic version. The acoustic version is the one that's on the album, and it is by far the best. It just fits the song and the mood so perfectly, in my opinion. The lyrics, like a lot of Townsend's material, are pretty ambiguous. Some people say it's about a girl with a condition. She's got a shaky hand. Others say she's, yeah. I mean, let's face it, this is the same band that wrote Pictures of Lily. I wouldn't be entirely surprised. Track 4, Odorano. This is a fake ad for a real deodorant, and it is actually a phenomenal song. It's basically telling the story of a singer who just got off stage and she's excitedly receiving attention from a guy who is going to kiss her, but in the words of the song, her deodorant fails her and she should have used Odorano. Fun. As you can plainly see, Pete Townshend has a knack for very unique storytelling, and this is a prime example. It is so Who, and I really just love it. Track 5, Tattoo. This has been one of my favorite Who songs ever since I first heard it on the expanded version of Live at Leeds. And honestly, the studio recording is just as good. This is definitely another song that lyrically shows off Townsend's themes the best, I think. It's about two teenage brothers who feel the need to prove their sort of masculinity by getting tattoos. And their parents are not very fond of that idea. They kind of want to throw hands with them. The harmonies on this song, the best harmonies The Who have ever done, bar none. Anyone would probably agree, honestly. And the guitar tone is fantastic. Track 6, Our Love Was. Another one of my favorites on the album. The transition between Tattoo and this song is flawless. I would say listen to those two songs back to back just for the transition alone. You will not regret it. Also, Pete's vocals sound really good here. I think Pete Townshend was a really good singer. I mean, Daltrey was obviously the stronger one vocally, but Pete's voice was just right enough to get the message of the song across, in my opinion. Now, even though this song is most likely about a breakup, it just sounds so happy and sunshiny. It's very a la Summer of Love, and it puts you in a strangely great mood. And that's probably why it has such great replay value. Definitely one of the most replayable songs on the album. And the guitar solo, though very brief, is really, really something. Pete was never really known for his guitar solos. He was very much a rhythm player at heart. But when he did do them, they were absolutely brilliant. Track 7, I Can See for Miles. This is a classic. This is one of The Who's definitive songs for perfect reason. It is so just raucous and edgy, and I don't mean that in like a ironic way. I mean, it's really definitely one of those songs that just makes you feel cool and hard, and definitely like a good driving song. Like if I was, on an empty highway in the desert or something, this would probably be the song that I put on. And I know this is a basic fact, but Keith Moon, that's all. Also, most of you probably know this already, but I really love this fact. This is the song that inspired Helter Skelter, if I'm not mistaken. Paul McCartney was reading a newspaper review of this album, and it said basically that this song was the heaviest, loudest song ever written, or something like that. And Paul was like, no, it's not. That's me. I haven't even written the song yet, but that's my song that I'm gonna write. That's my heaviest song. And yeah, I'd say it went well in that department, but no one can deny the charm of this song. Track 8, I Can't Reach You. I love the piano that kind of goes throughout the song, and Pete Townshend's voice is also a big highlight for me on this one. This song seems to me about not being able to communicate with something that you most desperately want to, possibly a lover in this scenario. And Pete was really just great at putting these very sort of introspective lyrics into the perfect pop song. He is the master of that, trust me. Track 9, Medac. This is another fake ad for acne cream, and honestly, it's another catchy tune. I wish it would have been like a full song or ad or whatever. It's good. Track 10, Relax. I love Roger and Pete's sort of vocal interplay here. Their voices blend really well in this one, and Townshend's guitar is, as for most two songs, a big standout here. There's not really too much to say about this one, but thankfully it is followed up by probably my two favorite back-to-back songs on a Who album, maybe. Track 11, Silas Stingy. This is one of my favorite Who songs ever, and also probably one of the catchiest songs ever written. It is stuck in my head all the time, especially recently for some reason. I find myself humming it or singing it to myself in my head all the time, nonstop basically. It's definitely one of the most melodic songs The Who ever wrote, I think, and the jazzy bridge in the middle is just the cherry on top for me. Track 12, Sunrise. Pete Townshend has never, ever sounded better vocally on a song. This is my favorite vocal performance of his. It's got a very baroque pop feel to it. It's just, him and the acoustic guitar, but it is by and far the prettiest, at least one of, probably the prettiest song The Who or Pete Townshend ever wrote in the entire career. It's poetry, lyrically, instrumentally, melodically. I know that sounds really pretentious, but I mean, if you ask me, I'm just calling it what it is. 13th and final track, Rael. This is The Who's second mini opera, their first one being a quick one while he's away. By the way, if you want the best version of that song and one of the best live performances you will ever see from any musical act, The Who at the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus, their performance of that song it's featured in the movie Rushmore, which is one of my all-time favorites. Check that performance out. It is the biggest adrenaline rush you will get for your entire day. There's been a lot of speculation to sort of the locations of this song, if the Redshins were China and Rael is short for Israel. I don't know if that's entirely the case. I don't know if Pete Townshend's even explained this song, really. If he has, by all means, please send me a link in the comments saying what he said, because I would love to know personally. But basically, the song is about, someone defending their homeland from the, quote, Redshins, basically. This is, in my opinion, it's a pretty good song. It's a solid closer to the album, for sure. I wouldn't have put it anywhere else. But if the opening chords of Sparks at the end of the song wasn't enough giveaway, their storytelling peak was, it was yet to come. Wink, wink. Overall, this is definitely one of the best albums of the 60s. It should be, and to most people it is, one of the defining albums of the 60s. It is a pop art masterpiece. I mean, it's definitely as sort of art poppy the Who ever got. And I'm grateful they dabbled in this because they perfected that sound. You'll probably not hear a better, interpretation of it, in my opinion. Definitely give this album a listen. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want me to talk about anything else, music or movie related, please let me know in the comments. I will accept pretty much almost anything. This is Jake. I'll be back.